You're going to see an exclusive investigation into millions of taxpayer dollars from Medicaid recipients who may not be eligible.
Federal regulators require the state to confirm eligibility every year, but 10 on your side's Andy Fox reports that's not happening. So Andy, how did you find out about this?
Well, a source told us, said, hey, Andy, take a look at this. And we did take a look at this, and we found thousands overdue for Medicaid reviews, which determines whether they are eligible at all. Taxpayers have a right to know if those we are paying for are still alive, still living in Virginia, still eligible. The problem is many Department of Social Services have to say, we don't know. Well, that's where 10 on your side comes in. They need to know. 10 on your side has uncovered the state's failure to review the eligibility of thousands of Medicaid recipients as required by federal law, at least every 12 months. But that is not happening.
It's not acceptable to have hundreds of reviews outstanding. We want to do a better job.
Better job ASAP. Stephen Bly is the Eastern Regional Director of the Department of Social Services. To solve this costly problem, Bly sent emails. There's a Medicaid overdue reviews PowerPoint. There's a sense of urgency now, but Bly's been director of the region for 13 years. This is unacceptable, but it became unacceptable on your watch.
Yes, it did.
Medicaid fraud is so rampant. In 2010, the General Assembly ordered an investigation that discovered the impact of overdue Medicaid reviews is hard to pinpoint, but costs between $18 and $263 million from Virginia's general fund, and between $26 million and $397 million in federal funds.
The vast majority of these still remain eligible.
Maybe, maybe not. Bly doesn't know for sure. But what we do know is this. In Hampton Roads, Newport News has the worst record for overdue Medicaid reviews. They are half of all your cases. And they're in your area.
Yes.
What are you doing about that?
Well, we required Newport News to submit a corrective action plan.
Newport News was failing so badly, the city had to submit an overdue Medicaid renewal plan of action. We took that plan of action and went to Newport News to find out what's going on. 10 on your side wants to know who's accountable. You know, who's accountable?
I am.
You are?
Yes.
And this has happened on your watch. The Newport News Department of Human Services Director, Glenn Butler. But it's been on your watch, sir, with all due respect.
We're working on it.
How frustrating has that been for you? You're the top guy
here. It's just a
here.
concern that we're working on it, and I realize that we've had certain factors we've had to deal with.
Butler blames a city hiring freeze that left him short-staffed, an influx of clients now getting benefits, and lack of training.
Our responsibility to do that.
This is a training session teaching the best ways to make sure everyone getting Medicaid is eligible. Watching is Glenn Butler and his deputy director, Dr. Roseanne Walters. How serious of a problem do you think it is?
I think it's an incredibly serious problem, and I think that
And you all have an urgency to fix it.
we do have an urgency to fix it.
Urgency now, but for months, perhaps years, Newport News in violation of federal law, failing to know who is eligible and who is not, with absolutely no disciplinary repercussions. How many people were there out there that had moved or died or were no longer eligible, and that you had, I mean, how many, what's that number?
You know, well, if they died and not getting the benefits, you know that. But I mean, in terms of, right.
But you don't know because you haven't been in contact with them. You haven't done your renewal, your annual renewal, required by federal policy.
Right.
As training continues in Newport News, we're pleased to report during our investigation there was a sea change in Newport News. The city reduced the number of overdue Medicaid reviews from 1,987 in March to 1,169 in April.
The good news is that the staff is beginning to see a turnaround.
But here's the reality check. Even the lower April number of 1,169 represents a potential overpayment to the HMOs of between $1.8 million to $2.3 million a month. And that's our taxpayer money. Federal and state taxpayers expect Newport News to know who their clients are and to know if they are eligible to receive our hard worked for tax dollars to pay for this.
And that's what we're working on every day.
And that number was just for Newport News. Northern Virginia just out of control. It's all over the state. And let's give credit where credit is due. Stephen Bly's Eastern region, including Hampton Roads, lowered the overdue to just 1.6%. The federal guideline is 3%. That is a great improvement. I also want to point out that we did not need to FOIA any of this information. The Department of Social Services gave us everything we asked for. And if you want to see the documents we received, go to wavy.com. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side.
And our story doesn't end here. Just log on to wavy.com and you can see how your city stacks up and read more emails from the Virginia Department of Social Services.